So I guess I'll just go live right now. All right,
All
so
right, let's do it.
yeah, so hopefully I should be live right now. But if the YouTube takes a little bit to start it up, uh, just give it a second. But let's see. Yeah, we should be live now. But yeah, thanks for being on the show, KMEGA.
Hey man, thank you for having me, man. I know it's been a minute. You've been asked for a while, and I mean, it just our times have been conflicted. But you know what I'm saying, anytime, brother. You know what I'm saying. We buds, man. So you know what I'm saying. I'm really happy that you got back into the game and doing your thing. And so of course, I had to come and support.
All right, hold on. I think something is going on right now. I don't think if the stream is actually starting. Oh, there it goes. Okay, yeah. It scared me there for a second.
Oh
man. So like when you think you're live and you're not, that's the scary part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I really do appreciate you being on. This is actually a pretty big thing for me because like you were the first one to have me like on a show. So like I respect you for that. Like you were the first one to open up, and you're always for the little guys, like to try to help them come up, and I respect that.
I appreciate that, man. I try my best to want to help out the community in any way possible. And it was funny because a lot of people, they were like, "Who's this PlayStation guy? And who's this?" And it was just like with Dark Optimus, is like, "Why you got to listen, man? I'm a gamer, and I do like to listen to other opinions." So it's to me, and one thing that I always wanted to have when I started GRG, the GRG podcast, was to make sure that there's not this circle jerk. I want people to challenge me for my thoughts. I want to challenge them back. And so like for anybody that I bring onto the show, I definitely want them to feel like they could say what they want to do, they say what they want to say, they could disagree and know that they could come back and all of that. And again, like with smaller content creators, there's so many talented people out here. Like the 108 Dragons, like the Lady Infamous, like now like the Ham Solos and so many others out there. There's another guy that we added to GRG here recently called the Husky Hokage. Very, very talented. Got got a really cool, chill out demeanor to him. And then just we revealed a new guy that's a part of the GRG podcast now, and that's Darth Praxis. So so it's I like it. And then the first episode, which was last night, he challenged me on the 30 frames, 60 frames per second thing, and that's what I'm talking about. I like to have those debates. I love that, and that's the one thing I always will continue to do. But Callie, I'm so proud of you. I knew that you stepped away. You had to take care of you doing your school thing and all of that. But I'm glad that you came back, man. We need more content creators like you out there. And you'll get to where you want to be eventually, man. Just keep plugging it, man. You got to support 100%.
And to be honest, at first, like when I used to watch it, because I was actually a big viewer of Next Gen back in the day. Mm-hmm. So that's how I knew about you. So
big shout out to him.
Yeah,
big shout out to Next Gen giving me a platform.
So back when I saw that, I think a lot of people had that stigma of you just being like an Xbox fanboy. But when I met you, you weren't anything like that.
I know. I got that. I am an Xbox fan for sure. That's my love, my love machine in a sense. And pause. It's not like that. But I love Xbox, the ecosystem, the vibe of what the Xbox brings. But I am a gamer first, man. The PlayStation 1 will be the all-time favorite console of my life, for all the games that it brought. But what the 360 introduced was something that I've never seen in gaming before, and what Xbox innovation does is just takes it to the next level. But I got a Switch, I got a PlayStation, I got a PC now. I've dabbled into all different types of stuff in gaming, and I support everybody for what platform that they choose. It's just that for me, that Xbox is my first love. But if anybody came to me and tell me that they were a PlayStation gamer first and they wanted to game on PlayStation. You know what? Let's boot it up and let's have a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and I will always give PlayStation its props, even though I know a lot of people see me on Twitter or on the podcast that gives PlayStation hell. But if there's like a game like Helldivers and games that that were like the Personas and the Yakuzas that were only exclusive on PlayStation for so many years, like they deserve their props for them, and that's why PlayStation is number one for what they do. I mean, I think Xbox is catching up with them. Nintendo is Nintendo. Like they're really low key the dominant force when it comes to exclusives. But yeah, no, man, gaming is I love gaming. I'll be gaming until the day that I die.
Also, Kun in the chat saying that you keep the ponies in check.
I try.
Yeah. So I always like to start off with asking my guests the first question of they're picking their top 5 favorite games of all time. So
okay,
name your top 5 then.
Let's see. Man, it won't be in order. Tekken, the franchise. I mean, I'm a Tekken stan. I love everything about Tekken. I just love that franchise. So it's not just a particular one game. It's just that whole franchise. The Witcher 3, Mass Effect, Legend of Legaia. And this is where it's hard because it's so many other games, and I feel bad for not giving the respect that's due, but I got to take it old school on this one and say Rygar, because that was the game that introduced me to hard, difficult, like single player experience. Like Rygar took me years to beat, and then when I finally beat it, I felt that was the first real true sense of accomplishment. It was so different than when playing the games in arcade and stuff like that. So Rygar is up in there. So Rygar's got to be in that top.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a NES game. Came out like I think in 1986.
Interesting.
1986 to 87. Yep.
So that and the Yakuza series. Okay. All right. So I always like to throw this curveball. So it's always easy to pick your favorite, but can you pick your least favorite of all time?
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls.
I hate those games, man. I hate them. That's why Elden Ring was an anomaly to me. Like I love Elden Ring, right? Like I was like, I'm not buying this game. I hate those Demon Souls games. I can't stand them. I think they're just difficult for no reason, and that's why Elden Ring was like a trip out, because I was like, man, I'm gonna play this game until I beat it and figure out these bosses. It was nuts, but I hate the Souls games. I hate them. So Demon Souls, my least favorite.
Damn, you might catch me a little heat here for that.
Yeah,
that's some heresy.
Hey man, they're just Demon Souls 3. I got it on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and I can't get past the first boss in Demon Souls.
I gotcha.
3.
Yeah, it's tough for some people.
But I beat Elden Ring, and I beat Melania, whatever her name is, Melina, whatever that. Yeah, it took me 4 days to beat her, but I beat her. And so, I should go back and try Demon Souls 3. I will not. I refuse to play the other Demon Souls before that. But I should just go back and see where my skill level is, because it just, oh my God, it makes me just. Ugh.
Yeah, definitely. I highly recommend you check out Sekiro too. That's a pretty good game.
Oh, I got that game. Yeah, no, it's dope. I have not beat it. It's in the backlog. I tend to. I'll play 1 or 2 new games for the year. Sometimes 3 is according to what kind of games they are. But then I'll have my moments where I go through and have a play session of my backlog. And so just like right now, the game in my backlog that I'm playing right now is Tales of Arise. I bought that day one, And so I was, and I played about 30 hours, got 30 hours into it, and then I stopped, because I knew that they were talking about bringing some DLC, and then I got caught up into playing another game. And so now I'm back in it. Now I'm all in. So I'm pretty sure, I think I got about almost 100 hours into it now, close to a level 50. I thought I beat it earlier, but I did not. And so I was like, oh, this ain't the end. So yeah, but I'm loving Tales of Arise. But that's kind of like how I play. I'll go back to a game that I may have bought in 2014 and put that in my and play it like now. That's just kind of how like I game. I don't just settle to try to prove that I can beat a game that's a new game right now. If I bought it, I own it, and so I can go ahead and I can just play it anytime I want.
Oh, just play at your own pace. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I just play at my own pace. I'm not here. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old guy. I'm slow motion, man. I'm not here to try to prove anything to anybody. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of people that like to compare trophies and all that shit.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't care about that shit. You know what I'm saying? You want to look and check me out? You know I game. I stream. I do all this type of stuff. So if you're still, I post clips all the time. If you're still saying that I don't play no games, then good luck to you. Fine, whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember people were saying that about you when it came to fighting games. You didn't really play fighting games, you weren't that good.
yeah, I know. That's what it is. But none of those people challenge. I think I had one person challenge me, but they were so insulting. I was like, whatever. And I played them before and beat them, and so I don't know. It's wild. The hate that I get sometimes is I laugh at it mostly. Some of it gets a little too personal, but I mean, you know, these people are hundreds of miles away sometimes, you know, and what's the point of all that? Like, you know, I don't care about all that stuff, man. I'm here to game, talk about games, have a good time. You want to talk a little shit, that's good, but it doesn't move me whatsoever if you're gonna sit here and talk from the internet. I'm a person that rather talk in private, one-on-one. Let's do that.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that you played the SNES back in the day. So was that your first console?
No, my first console was the Atari 2600.
Ooh, you're very old school then.
Bro, yeah, I'm a root gamer, man. Yeah, I'm the second generation of the root gamer, because the first generation console gamers was the Magnavox. And so
yeah.
when the Magnavox came out, I wasn't born yet, and then like I was way too young to understand anything like that. So I started off with the arcades with I started off with pinball, and then I moved to arcades, and then I went to then the Atari 2600 was the first console.
So you experienced the crash then, right?
Oh yeah. My mom bought ET for me for Christmas. So yeah, that man, I should have kept it, but nobody didn't know at that time. I mean, it was junk. Horrible game.
Yeah. It's probably worth a lot now, seeing like how rare it is.
Yeah. If anybody has that edition, you know, especially in mint condition, I'm sure that puppy is worth a lot of money.
Kun out here telling my story. Yeah, PS3 was my first console. I'm a new gen kid.
Oh yeah, we know that. You know that because you're around the same age as my daughter. So yeah, you're just a baby.
Why you old folks always gotta call me a baby?
Oh man, especially when you see your pictures. I said, man, look at this, man. I don't want no trouble from the law, man. I ain't gonna get caught up with all. It's great.
Yeah, but so how was the Atari gen for you growing up then?
Well, I mean, it was cool, but I still was more partial to the arcades. And again, you know, that was just a different era. Like, you know, you would play games for, you know, you would have maybe a half an evening or something. Because, I mean, at that time, I didn't have my own TV. You know, I would just play it in the front room. And then by that time, when my grandmother or my mother was, if they were getting ready to watch, you know, their TV shows or whatever, or the news or whatever. I always remember I had to have the Atari off by the time that you know, the world news came on. So
yeah.
you know, so then I would go outside and play, and then and then you had to be in before before dark. And so when I come in, then they're watching their stories, as they call them, their night shows, Falcon Crest and Dallas and Knots Landing and all that. So I had to sit there and watch that stuff, so
like, when's my turn to use the TV?
Right. Well, and then of course I had toys, and so I'm sitting here playing toys and whatever, and it was just a different time. So gaming was, you would go to a friend's house and they would have it, and you could go over there and they would have a TV, and you would think that they would be the rich kids because because they could have a TV in their room and you could play the game there. But then of course there was you only play the game for so long, and then you're back outside and playing. So there was more outside playing and doing more shenanigans when it was like compared to today, where people are kind of just lost into gaming all day and all night. So it was just a different experience. But yeah, no, the Atari was cool. There was one of my favorite games from Atari was Dodge 'em. It was a car game. It looked just like Pac-Man, but instead of like the Ghost Monsters and Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, it was a little car. And the game played just like that, like, the same kind of design where the car was eating little lines or whatever, and just kind of going crazy. So, but I love that game. That game was really fun. Really, really fun.
I may need to check that out. I actually never heard of it, but
yeah, check it out. Called Dodge 'em. Yep.
Also, Cerebral Paul in the chat calling us infants, since he says he's older than you.
Yeah, he is. You and Sir X-Man are elder statesmen. You know what I'm saying? And I think Wise is up there too. So, but yeah. Paul.
Oh yeah.
Sir X-Man for sure. Old goats.
Yep. Also, Kuhn out here calling me out, saying that he could hear my voice change live.
Right, yeah, it's breaking right now before us. This man,
oh God,
puberty is just now starting. Good God.
Yeah, that's why I love my chat. But anyways, so the arcade was pretty big back then though, because you're kind of in the same generation my dad grew up in, playing video games, so he was pretty big into the arcade scene. So yeah,
arcade was always great.
So I take it you were big into the Mortal Kombat scene, right? And
absolutely.
All those fighters.
Yeah. That what got me into the fighters was a game called Karate. Because what got me into the arcades was my mom would go to a laundromat that was, I don't know, probably about a half a mile, maybe it was closer to a mile than anything from the house. And to keep me busy, they would go and give me quarters or whatever, and then I would like I said, I started off playing off with pinball. And then when they first came out, when they first brought the arcade, it was a table arcade. And I don't know if you've seen those or heard about those, but it was cool. And it was because when they did have the pinball machine was still a little bit too tall for me, so they gave me a stool. But the table arcade was perfect. They just had, you could stand there if you were little, or if you was, an adult or something, you could, sit in a chair or whatever. And so, it was Pac-Man. And I was like, what is this? And so I got enamored and lost. And yeah, that's what kind of kicked it. And then when I got bigger, because, we was still going to that laundromat for years. And then I got to a point to where when I got older, when I got about like 8 to 10, I could ride my bike up there to the laundromat, and they would always have new arcades. They came out to have it where it was just more the pinball, then the pinballs went away, and then it was arcades, and then they had like 3, then they had like 8. Like I was like, oh, it was heaven. It was heaven. They had like 8 different arcade games in there, so it was a pretty big laundromat. But yeah, but Karate was the first game that got me into fighters, and it was a blast. Another game that I had the record in out in my area at that arcade was Joust. Oh, Joust was everything for me. I love Joust, but then Karate took that away. I love Karate.
I isn't Joust by Midway?
I believe so. If not, Namco.
Because I have a game in the Midway collection I bought for my PS3 that's called Joust.
And that might be it. That might be it. I believe it is from because I get kind of a mixed up if it's Namco or if it's Midway, but yeah, I think it is Midway. But yeah, Joust is it's with a you're riding on you got a little guy riding on a
that's it,
a flying ostrich. Yeah, so it's Midway. So yeah, no, that game was everything to me. That game was everything for me. I kept that record. First place for a long time. I mean, of course, that laundromat is still there, but there's not arcades. Those arcade games, them old arcade games have been long gone. So I'll still take the claim that nobody took that record from me being in the number one spot. KAR is still number one on that arcade system somewhere.
So I take it after the whole arcade scene kind of like went away with the consoles, you kind of just like started focusing on consoles more, like when like
no, I was still heavy into the arcades until probably the PlayStation 1 era, because I would go to the mall and I would go to the arcades to go play people in Tekken or Virtual Fighter. There was this one crazy football game called Cyberball. It was usually linked up with another game called Smash TV. And so I was looking for that competition because I loved it. And so and then there was another game that was around that time that came out, was called Pit Fighter. And so, I was always going to the mall when I had the chance to go to Le Mans and then just get down, you know what I'm saying? Especially when Tekken just took over for me. I loved it playing the Koreans. I just loved it. I just loved it because they were so damn dominant. And then when I had the chance to beat them, then we befriend each other. And then so I just came up there and hung out with them, and it was great. It was great.
Interesting. Also, real quick, Sir Paul correcting us. He says Joust was Williams.
Williams. Okay. He is right. He is absolutely right. Okay. He's right.
Also, shout out to Anthony Chipmunk. Thank you for stopping by in the chat, and hope you enjoy the show. So I take it like when the 3D era came for fighters, you were pretty big into that Sega game that revolutionized the 3D genre or the 3D graphics, right?
You know what? No, at first I wasn't. I was still into the Street Fighters, the 2D fighting era, and Virtual Fighter was really slow paced. Didn't really understand it. It was actually Tekken that got me, because I know Virtual Fighter came out before Tekken. Like, Virtual Fighter is the daddy of all 3D fighters. In a sense, because there was in a sense, but no, it is overall. But it was too slow paced for what I was enjoying at that time. Like I said, in the Street Fighter alphas and other, and then Mortal Kombat was around at that time and stuff like that. So it took me a while, but Tekken was the first game to get 3D game to get me into one, because I understood Virtual Fighter and knew that it was a much more simulated type of fighter compared to what Tekken was. And so that's when I've had a newfound respect for what Virtual Fighter could do. So it was Tekken first, but it wasn't Virtual Fighter.
All right. So if I remember correctly, the Tekken game was it exclusive to PlayStation when it came out?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what led you to going into Xbox if PlayStation was the dominant dog?
Yeah, PlayStation was, like I was a PlayStation stan. I was one of these. I wasn't this bad, like what you see today, but I was through a Nintendo. I was, Sega was still my first love, but
they were practically out of it.
Yeah, well, not during the PlayStation 1 era, like
mostly around the PS2 era.
Yeah, but I'm a young kid. I got a kid in high school, and so I'm over here, working plus going to school, going to college myself, and I'm like, I want the Saturn, but damn, it's a little bit too expensive. But so I'm looking at the price of the PlayStation. And so that's what got me, because I was going to get a Saturn, because I was partial to Sega, but the PlayStation called me, hooked me, and then after that, like I said, I became a PlayStation stan. Like I would still play on other, consoles. I still play on it. I mean, I really despised the Nintendo 64. I know that's sacrilege to a lot of Nintendo fans, and I apologize, but I hated the controller. I hated everything about it, the color, all that, right? It just looked too kiddie for me. And so, so Nintendo was kind of like in the back burner, and then I eventually got a Saturn, but PlayStation was just dropping so many bangers, man. Like so I just kept playing on my PlayStation, and then by the time the PlayStation 2 came, I mean, I tried to give the Jaguar another chance, because I'm of course partial with the Atari, and the Jaguar was a disaster. Neo Geo was too expensive. Like I had only one friend that I knew that had a Neo Geo. Name was Emmanuel. He was from Guam, and so his family was in the military. So they were both, I think, at that time retired. So they were gripped up. So that I got to play the Neo Geo and enjoyed it, but the price was too much. And then of course, like the TurboGrafx 16, that was a cool system. It had a couple of games, but it didn't have anything like what PlayStation was offering. And then there was the Panasonic that came through a little bit later. That was too expensive. The 3DO was just like the 3DO, the highest edition, because everything at that time what the 3DO was presenting looked just like the arcades, which was dope, because their main focus at the display was Street Fighter 2, the Hyper Edition, looked just like the arcade, played just like the arcade, but damn thing was too expensive. So PlayStation was economic, was smart at that time, and then they just kept having all these different games that I have not experienced before, and especially when you talk about the 3D era, the age of the 3D game. Yeah, PlayStation was just everything to me. PlayStation 1 and 2 was everything to me.
Interesting. Yeah, I kind of grew up in the weird era where PS2 was still being sold, and that Sony hadn't released the PS3 yet. So, I got to experience some of that PS2 craze. I got to experience that. I missed out on the PS1 though.
PS1 was just, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people love the PlayStation 2, and I love the PlayStation 2, but it just didn't, I don't know. Maybe it was the new experiences of the games that came out in that era of the 3D games and just all of those different, because PlayStation 2 had a lot of bangers. It just didn't resonate to me as much. And again, I'm working more hours. I'm taking care of, an older kid now, and I got a daughter, and everything is just different. So, real life was happening. And then you also had the Dreamcast. And like I said, I've always been partial to Sega, and I was playing the Dreamcast more. And so back to your original question, when, sorry about that, what you was asking about. What
you're good. I like this.
I had and I've told the story many times, but my homeboy, Cookie, I call him Cookie. It's from a movie called Men of Honor, and my homeboy was a cook at one time in the Navy, so I kept calling him Cookie. So anyway, somebody just gave him an OG Xbox, and he called me up and he was like, "Yo, bro, man, I know you be playing them games and stuff." He said, "But man, I got this new thing called an Xbox." And I said, "I heard about that crazy shit, man." So I packed up my PlayStation 2. I'm like, "Man, we gonna play some Madden or whatever on the PlayStation 2. I'm not gonna worry about no Xbox." So we get up there, I go up there, he's adamant, like, "Man, come on, man, let's play this thing, man." I mean, he gave it to me, man. He said these graphics on this one game look crazy. And I kept on arguing with him, like, "Man, I don't want to play this stupid ass thing." And then when he talked me into like, "Okay, let's boot up something." And he handed me the Duke. And I'm like, "What is this thing?" And
that massive ass controller.
Bro, I said, "This is a dinner plate. What the hell is this thing, man?" Oh, and I was clowning the Xbox. I was like, "This thing is stupid." I was like, "Is this what Microsoft made, right?" I said, "Oh man, this thing is done. This thing is going out like the 3DO." I was dogging the hell out of the OG Xbox. But long story short, he said, man, there's this one game, and there was oh man, what was the first game he booted up? But graphically, it was so clean. It was a top down multiplayer game. I can't think of the name of it right now. But then we put in this other game, and I'm like, whoa, man, these graphics are crazy. He said, man, I told you. And so, but I said, man, I don't know how to move, right? And so anyway, the game was Halo. So at this point, we was, a couple of homeboys was coming, and we was supposed to go to the club. We had a schedule. We was going to the club. So, I was up there early. I already had my clothes ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So when we would get ready, we was going to, go to the club and hang out. So my homeboy Deuce and Roger come through. And so we're all sitting here, and he got 4 controllers. And so, we was like, oh man, we used to have this little thing this little adapter I had on the PlayStation that you had to buy. But that was a cool little feature. Like, I'm like, oh man, you can hook up all 4 controllers on this thing? Okay, whatever. So everybody was clowning the Duke, right? And then we slowly kept on trying to figure out how to play Halo. And then when it clicked, we lost track of time. Like it took us, I don't know, about 2-3 hours to figure out how to play Halo, right? And then all of a sudden it clicked, and then we looked, and all of a sudden I said, hold on, wait a minute, what time is it? Man, it was like 4 a.m. in the morning.
Hours passed.
Yeah, hours passed. And this was like, I went over his house like at I don't know, 1:30, 2 o'clock that afternoon. And it was like, man, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And so one of the homeboys like, man, I got to get out of here. And he's like, one more game. We was like, all right. Man, we played that shit until about like 11 o'clock the next day. That's
how it always goes. One more game. Man,
we had a blast. And I said, all right. I said, man, this one game is cool. I ain't, because I wasn't into shooters like that. 007 was the only shooter I really liked, right? At that time. So it was, I said, all right. I said, man, I ain't convinced yet. I said, this game is dope, but my PlayStation still whatever. And then what convinced me was we were, later on, I think about it was like a week later or something like that, a week or 2 later. And
real quick, sorry to cut you off, but real quick, shout out to Yobi in the chat, shouting you out and saying that you guys lost track of time for Fight Night Sundays last Sunday.
Oh yeah. We played until about almost 5 o'clock.
Oh jeez.
Central Time. Yeah, man, we was in, and I was in my zone. I wasn't on the sauce. I was gaming. I was in my zone. So we had a really good session playing Tekken and playing Killer Instinct. So I'm gonna be playing some Killer Instinct tonight. Tales of Rise. Well, I'm gonna be streaming with Don later on, but I'm gonna be on some Killer Instinct and some Tales of Arise later on after that. But anyway, so appreciate that, Yobi. So anyway, so we're getting ready to go to the club. So we go into the club. I got some free time, you know what I'm saying? My mom over here gonna watch the kids. So I'm like, let's go. We're going to the club, we hanging out, right? So go up there, and so he's playing music, right? But he's playing music from his TV. Normally he used to have this little speaker thing popping off or whatever. And I'm like, yo, where this music playing from? He said, oh, from the TV, from the Xbox. I said, what? What you mean from the Xbox? And then the TV was showing all these crazy ass designs and like trans lasers. And I'm like, what is this shit? He says, bro, you can download music into the Xbox. I said, what you mean? He says, bro, you put a disc in there and you can just download any music you want. And he says, man, I found out something. Like, man, we was playing Madden. He said, man, the music was playing in the background. I said, shut the hell up. That was what. And then I said, yo. So we went to the club, picked up a couple of ladies, brought them back to the spot, to his crib, and then and so he turned the music on and I said, oh, this man turned on this goddamn console. Man, these girls is out of here. But they were vibing because the music was going, and he had to translate. Boy, I was good at that point. I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to cop one of these Xboxes. So that's what it was, man. The pants off, dance off got me to get out, and that Halo, man, got me. And then after that, and I was late to the party with the OG Xbox because right after, like, I would say a year later, the 360 came out. And, I wasn't, I would read the magazines and stuff like that. But like I said, I was so busy working and doing other things, you know what I'm saying, taking care of family. Well, let's just say kids. I wasn't married or nothing at the time. I didn't even have no girlfriend or nothing at that time. But I was, too busy taking about that. So I wasn't keeping on to the stuff like normal, knowing that there was a new Xbox coming. So when I found out, I went to the, I would go to the game store, the GameStop or whatever, and KB Toy Store, and talk to the homie. He says, "Hey man, that new Xbox is coming." I said, "New Xbox?" He said, "Yeah, man, it comes out next week." I said, "You lying?" I said, "Man, I just bought that old Xbox." He said, "Oh man, that shit been out for years." I said, "Years?" I said, "Oh damn, I didn't know that." I said, this new Xbox, what's it gonna look?" I said, "What it look?" So he showed it to me. I said, "Oh, that thing looks slick." And he says, "Man, but that PlayStation 3 coming too." I said, "Oh, bro, I'm gonna have to cop that." Nah, man.
PS3 was expensive. Yeah.
$600. I said, "Oh, that ain't no brainer." And then that is what changed everything, because I was already cool on what Xbox was doing, and then just finding out more cool things what the Xbox was doing. I knew that they had the online, but I never really messed with it because I was still kind of embedded into that PlayStation gaming lifestyle, and I was doing so much local, couch co-op. Like we would do, the couch co-op thing, and the only thing that I would play on Halo was LAN party or any other game. Like I would do LAN parties with a friend of mine that I knew at this game store, and so that was it. So it wasn't no online anything. I didn't mess with it because I thought that the online on the Xbox would be just as bad as the online on PlayStation. And so, or like it was on the 360, on the Dreamcast. So I didn't trust online gaming at all. So, and I didn't know anybody that knew about the online gaming at that time. So I was really late to the party on the online stuff, even with the 360. So, but man, that 360 with the innovations, when it did an update for the first time, I'm like, what the hell is this thing doing? What is that? And it was just nuts. The 360, I was the OG Xbox converted me, but the 360 was the thing that said, I'm okay, I'm good. This is where I want to be from here on out. So, and I'm still here. I'm still an Xbox guy.
Interesting. Yeah. So I gotta ask this. So, since you give a bit about your console history, so can you easily pick which one was your favorite?
The PlayStation 1. 360 is very, very, very close. Like, I mean, it would be probably a 1A, 1B, but the PlayStation 1, all those amazing, and like with the 360 as well. But I'm giving it to the PlayStation 1 because it kicked off some things I'd never seen before, like women being interested in playing the console. The games, like we would sit there we was in my apartment, man, and I would have an apartment full of people, and they're watching me play Resident Evil, and everybody's just, like we would miss nights going out because of the PlayStation 1. If it wasn't for like playing fighting games or sports games, or we playing, and that was the first console that got me. Now I did play Phantasy Star on Sega on the Genesis, but it didn't resonate with me like what the PlayStation 1 did when because maybe I think I was still a little bit too young to understand how those games played back then. But then I was old enough to understand how to play these games, those JRPGs, and Wild Arms was the very first one, and then it was Legend of Legaia, and then it was Legend of Lagoon, and then it was Final Fantasy 7, and it was just a wild time because
they just had great games after game.
Yeah, we're young adults and people are just enamored with it and hanging out, and it just was a lot of fun back then. Just gaming, carefree. You know what I'm saying? We're young. You know what I'm saying? Early 20s. Just having a damn blast, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I was 20 at that time, so 20, 21. And so, like, man, it was just, just getting out of college.
Well, that's kind of who the PlayStation 1 was marketed for. I mean, Nintendo was for the kids, and the Sega was kind of just for the teens that got out of their kid phases, and then PlayStation kind of more marketed for adults, right?
Yeah, and it just felt that way. And so like that was really at one time the only console I had. Like I gave my Nintendo and my Sega to my son, you know, so he can learn how to play games. But he always wanted to come and play the PlayStation with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I had to do the little fake thing where I would pretend like the controller's plugged in and let him think that he's playing.
So, oh, you cool for that?
I know. When he figured it out, he got mad at me. My bad, little bro. My bad. Yeah, the PlayStation. So the PlayStation 1 is the number one for me. But close second is the 360.
So how do you feel about like this recent generation from the PS4 and Xbox One, and the current generation too? Like, do you feel like it's kind of like it's pushed the needle at all, like from those generations that you grew up with, or do you kind of feel like it's stagnated?
No, I feel like the needle's been pushed. I'm not one of these people that demands the same type of thing to be, you know, innovation to go to those new heights of like what we were seeing with the PlayStation 3 and the 360. But I do want to see gradual leaps. And the Xbox One in its own right, when it first came out, was a marvel to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't, you know, I wasn't knowing about anything, no resolution or frame rates or none of that bullshit. Back then until we started hearing more about it in 2012 and 2013, when I started listening to, you know, content creators and stuff like that. But I thought the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were great consoles. I thought what the Xbox was doing and where their direction was, I thought it was really cool. I thought that the mistake is because of, you know, the pricing, which was they were too arrogant, and not everybody wanted to connect. You know, I definitely wanted to connect because I was having such a great time with the 360 Connect. But I understood why the hell did you decide to want to package that and not just sell it separately like you did before. And then, you know, charge this $500 price tag when you had the PlayStation at $400. And I just thought that like what Xbox was doing with the TV stuff, because, you know, and you're in relationships and things like that, not, you know, and most of the ladies that I've been in relationships with, they're not gamers. You know, they want to have TV, they want to watch their TV, they want to have their moments to spend time watch movies and stuff like that. And so the Xbox was bringing that type of features, what they were doing with the 360, and enhancing them. So like there could be moments where they could be watching TV and I could be playing the game on the side with the snap feature. You know what I'm saying? Like, or, you know, or because I never have been a guy that want to play my games on a smaller TV in my room. You know what I mean? Like, nah. And I didn't, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, it's kind of maybe how I was raised. Like at nighttime, you know, family watches TV in the front room, stuff like that, because that's just how it was when I was growing up. So, you know, so I was like, hey, we could compromise or whatever. And so I would put my headphones on, listen to the game, because you could adjust the sound, and they would watch TV. And you know what I'm saying? Or it would be vice versa. They would listen to whatever and I could listen to the game because I could have it linked up to a different speaker, to where you can do that. So anyway, so I would do that, not all the time, but sometimes. And I thought that was the snap feature was just dope. And it was really cool for me because I could watch my sports, play my games, you know, or whatever. And all of a sudden they you know, people started bitching and complaining. And I was thinking, like, when you playing a game like Quantum Break and, you know, they adding the TV elements, like this was taking me back to games off the Sega CD, like Sewer Shark and Supreme Warrior and Alone in the Dark. And I'm like, yo, this is what I'm talking about. Like, bring innovation. And people were bitching like that wasn't dope. Like that was like, well, I just want my console to be what are you talking about? Like, so I thought the Xbox One, even though it was not better than the 360, it had fantastic innovations that was hindered because the powers that be thought that what the PlayStation was doing was more superior. What the PlayStation 4 was doing was superior, and I didn't agree. whatsoever. And then especially like when you had the editing stuff that they were doing on the 360, that was top notch. That was different. And especially when I started getting into content creating at that time, like it was just dope. So I don't know, man. The Xbox One gets a bad rap because, but it bad messaging, the lack of games, especially towards the end of the generation. That's what hurt it the most. But the console itself, I thought it was a superior console. And the PlayStation 4, like the game spoke for that console. Like the PlayStation was it's dope. I mean, I got my PlayStation 4 looking dead at me right now. So it's like, it's a worthy console. But the games spoke for that console more so than it did for.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to be wrapping up the last question for gaming related questions, but I want to get your thoughts about like the state of gaming overall, because we kind of did talk about this a little bit off the air about like how people are flipping about 30 FPS. But how do you feel like state of gaming is? Because I know a lot of people are kind of disappointed like how games are releasing broken or just like 30 FPS. There's no 60 FPS mode. And a bunch of other problems that gaming has had recently, but like, do you feel like it's in a good place or it's in a bad place?
Ooh, it's a tough question because if you watch nothing but social media, it's in a bad place. If you're just gaming is better than it's ever been. So but then again, you flip back. The pricing is ridiculous. The gouging of price gouging in the sense of where they're trying to nickel and dime us for every single penny, even on single player games, is to me at some points in certain games is unacceptable. But then again, the innovation in video games is incredible. So, I mean, it doesn't help that you have some people out here that have an agenda of wanting to be negative all the time. I mean, this is not only just in gaming, but this is with everything. Well, this movie sucks. It's not like this movie. Oh, well, this appliance is garbage. This cell phone is bad. Oh my God, everything in the world is just awful. And then people feed into it and then agree. They can find one thing that they can agree with, and then they look at it as like, oh yeah, everything sucks right now. And that's just a bad place to be, because gaming has always been a thing to where it's supposed to take you away and let you be immersed into their world that these developers has made for us. And when you're more worried about, well, is this game 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second, then you've lost the vision of what these developers were trying to do. And again, when we're not developers, and when I've talked to many developers, they have made this point of like, look, games, we feel this vision of what this game could work better at these frame rates than that. It's not the consoles. The PlayStation and the Xbox can run every game at 60 frames per second. But the one thing that I think people forget is that when you play a game at 60 frames per second and it's not stable, like let's say you playing Stellar Blade and you can get it to 120 frames, right? Well, if she's doing the hammer dance and you can't, and you're not having no damn, it's not stable, then what's the point of having 120 frames? So if they can go ahead and let's say that they made Stellar Blade at 30 only, well, they feel like the game is stable at a stable 30, then it shouldn't matter. And then again, all these people with the contradiction, it's like, well, we want all these games to be this way and that way, but yet you're enjoying Dragon's Dogma 2. You're also enjoying the Plague's Tale Requiem. Those were 30 frames per second. Starfield. And this is for these Xbox gamers that losing their damn minds and keep listening to the wrong people out here that keep saying 60 frames per second of death, but then yet you will over here parading Starfield on the console. And most of these people that sit here and tout about PC this, PC that, you're wanting all of these PC features, but you're not willing to pay for it. These are $500, $550 consoles. I mean, hell, some of them, the Xbox has gone down in price. So it's like, to me, you also have a Xbox Series S that is cheaper. So it's like, you want all of these features of what people are getting on PCs. And listen, I paid for a high-end PC. I built my PC, and I know, and I mean, hell, if I paid for somebody to build it on top of what I got, we're talking about upwards of over $5,000. I paid over $4,000 for this PC that I built. You know, and already I got to give me a new chipset because it's already becoming outdated. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything is working fine right now, but when we get to 2025, I mean, when that Unreal 5 engine start cooking, hell, you know what I'm saying?
My computer's going to be cooking with that.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? And my 4080 it's rocking, but you know what I'm saying? But my chipset, I gotta upgrade it. And that's the thing that console gamers, the PC gamers that was start bringing up this stuff about resolution and all this other shit back in 2013, 2012, they finessed the hell out of the console gamer, because a lot of these people that were talking about this in their videos, they didn't have high-end PCs. They had mid-tier PCs, but they were talking high-end PC type of talk and kept on dogging the consoles for, look at the prices of what you had to pay. Like, there's more people. I'm in like high 1-2%. I mean, it might have gotten higher to maybe 5. I would say 5 to 7% now in the PC side of high-end gaming. I'm in that tier. Majority of people play on stuff that's mid-tier, that they're playing games at 1080p. Yeah, they can get 120 frames. I mean, 200 and some frames, but they're playing at 1080p and not having no HDR. Hell, some of these people don't even have true HDR monitors, but yet they'll still tell you that, or 1440p, and they'll still tell you, well, console gamers, you're selling for less. And so these people are using that ammunition as, well, you know what? You're right. No, they're not, because you're paid $500. If you want to get all the bells and whistles of what you expect to see in Hellblade at 60 frames per second, trust me, you're paying well over $500. You know what I'm saying? Even if you go and you try to get a 20 series, like, a 2070, that card, I think itself is still 200 and some bucks, 150 at the least. Then you still got to get you a motherboard, your CPU. You're gonna have to get all, get your RAM, all that other stuff, get that all cooking, and then you're gonna have to put the time in to learn how to build it yourself, or you're gonna pay somebody for it, and you're gonna be paying well over what you're paying for the consoles. That gives you a lot. And my last point on that is, when you got people, listen, we're graphic whores. All of us are, most of us. If you're a PC only guy, then that's different. I think that they're more of a frames per second type of group. But console gamers, no, we're graphic whores. We love visuals. And I tell you why that's so. It's because we buy these TVs and these monitors with VRR, we buy these 4K televisions. Hell, there's people that buy 8K televisions. If you cared more about frames per second, you wouldn't be caring about those TVs. You'll be getting a monitor, you're getting all this, and then you'll be setting yourself up and probably most likely not even dealing with consoles and just get you a PC. But I would love to see the stats of when people play these games, do they play them more on performance mode, or do they play them more on quality mode? You see, or fidelity is whatever they call it. And I would say that there would be a higher percentage that plays on fidelity, because that is the show. When they play in those show pieces, there's something they can show off to friends, and then have your significant other come, oh, that looks good, that looks real. Anytime that person is walking in, oh, that shit runs smooth, don't it? Oh, yes, it does. Come on, let's stop the cap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. There should be more options, but if the developer is saying that this is what they want to do, this is their creative freedom, why are we now talking about, when we were bragging about or begging for these publishers to give these developers creative freedom? Why not let them have their creative freedom and make the vision of the game that they want? My thoughts.
Okay. They're thinking that a lot of people are just becoming armchair devs, telling them what to do.
Yeah, no, they are. They come shade tree devs, and they expect all of these features, but they don't want to pay for it, and it doesn't make any sense. It was just like with the loot box situation. Yeah, when you do the pay to win stuff, that is wrong. EA should have got cooked for that. But did people really think that the gaming industry was going to stop at loot boxes if you took that away? No.
They just moved on to microtransactions.
They moved to microtransactions, and now it's almost beginning to a point to where they're feeding off of us in a way to where they know that our gamer impulses is that we want to have this, we want to have that. So just like what they did with that silly shit with Dragon's Dogma, where you had to pay for for fast travel. Like that,
yeah.
that's nuts. That's nuts. So again, we speak with our wallet, but we also need to not want everything to be changed. We just need to see things maybe get, redirected to go in our favor instead of just saying, "Cut it, take it away." Because when they do, they might bring it back and it might be 10 times worse, like what we have right now.
Maybe. I mean, can never really know, but like, yeah.
No.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll go into your content history.
Okay.
But so before we started the show, you were telling me that you had started originally in 2013 with Xbox, right? On his show?
No, I started. No. I started. I knew Xbox. I've been knowing Xbox since 2012.
Okay.
I didn't start my own. Yeah, I didn't start my own content until 2014. I did do some. It wasn't. I was supposed to be doing some stuff with We Game. I forgot the name of the group, and that's on me. No, We Game Here. That's the name of the team. With it was Kid Smooth and Darren and other people there. You know what I'm saying? So like, really appreciate them having an opportunity. But they put me on the sports stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, man, when I'm going to talk about games? You know what I'm saying? So like, I want to be put on games, but they never did. They only put me on the sports stuff. So I really didn't, but I knew Xbot from that group. And so when I decided to go ahead and do my own thing, Kid Smooth was the one that Kid Smooth and Big Kahuna were the ones that talked me into doing it. I was like, man, this is stupid. Ain't nobody gonna listen to me, man. This is whatever. This country boy from Oklahoma, ain't nobody care about what the hell I'm saying. And so like, no, I'm telling you, man, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You be making some good points, whatever. So I decided to do it, and so I did my channel. I started my channel in 2014, and my very first comment, which I was hyped, I said, "Oh, I got a comment. Let's go." And the comment said, "Stick with your day job. You suck at this." And I was like, yo. I said, yo. And it hit the feels. It hit the feels because I really was trying my hardest to make it sound as professional and right as I possibly could. So if you ever go back to my very first episode, my very first video, you'll see that comment. Like, it was wild. It hurt me. Normally this shit now, like when people talk shit, I don't care about. I'm well prepared for all that stuff now, but that hit hard. That hurt my feelings. I was like, oh man. And so I thought about just already bowing out. But I talked to Bill Kahuna, and he was like, man, I get all types of crazy comments all the time, whatever. And so I was like, all right. So I made another video, and then I had this one guy, Dream Shaker Lee, and every time that I did a video, he was right there with a positive comment. He kept me going, and said, oh yeah, like 3, 4, 5 views on it, something like that. And I still was thinking like it was a waste of time because I'm working my ass off. I'm doing all this other stuff, taking care. I'm with a woman that has 3 kids. I've got my 2, all this stuff, man. I've got to do all these other things, birthday parties, all this other stuff. And I'm like, man, this is just time consuming, and it's taken away from me gaming a little bit. So, I'm just trying to balance the time. So I was already thinking about bowing out. And I remember I was in these Facebook groups. And Jabari, this is, it was bad. You know what I'm saying? The PlayStation, Xbox hate. And Jabari he made a video about me and clowned my shit, because I was happy I had like, I think 200 subs. And he posted it. At this time, Jabari was already over 1,000. and him and his crew or whatever, and he clowned me. He was like, look at this dude, only 200, I'm a competitive person. I'm like, all right, I ain't going nowhere now. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was telling my ex-girlfriend at the time, like, cause she wanted me to be done with it, but I was like, nah, I ain't going nowhere. I said, this MF right here, man, he gonna be popping off like that. I got him. And so then at that point, I was sitting there, I was telling Xbox, like, man, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And I said, man, ain't nobody put me on no podcast talking about games. And so big shout out to Anchorman V. He put me on as a guest on his podcast. And big shout out to Tick. You know what I'm saying? Tick Podcast had me on. And my brother, you know what I'm saying, B Shadows. They put me on and started talking about games. I was so nervous because I've been waiting for this moment, but I haven't really, got started. I was just making content. And I was so nervous to be in. So, at the time, you know what I'm saying, you seeing real chats, like, live and man. And so I was excited but nervous at the same time. And so I did it. And they both gave me, like, all three of them, when I did podcast, as a guest on their podcast, they all gave me, pointers, but they also, gave me, uplifted me, made me feel like, yo, you got some things rough here, but you got potential for this and that, blah, 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 the second and third, right? So it just gave me more motivation to keep going. And then Xbot decided to get everything in order. And he's like, man, I'm starting this podcast. He said, I want you to be part of it. And I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And then I got introduced to the Don, Uski, you know what I'm saying, my boy Will, you know what I'm saying? And so we jumped on. And then there was another guy that came on there that swore that he was the first one, but I'm not going to mention his name. He was the afterthought. He wasn't even on the show for a month before he had to bail out. So, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but yeah, and so I've been riding with Xbot on his podcast ever since, because I did step away for a while. My grandfather passed away. And then I thought I was done, because at that point, everything changed. A lot of stuff. And then I got and then me and my ex broke up. And so I had to start all over because I left her with everything. I said, hell no, I ain't dealing with this shit. So I bailed out. I took my TV. This chick was so foul. She sat there and kept all my clothes except for the clothes I had on my back. I said, cool, whatever. I'm out. I took my TV and my Xbox and I bailed out. And so I had to start over from scratch. Like, you know what I'm saying? I helped pay for this house that we had, all this shit. I said, you know what? I'm cool. I'm not even worried about it. I got to get peace of mind. So I had to start over. So I was gone for a year. And I told Bot, I was still doing next podcast, right? Like I was doing it from all different locations, you know what I'm saying? from homeboys' houses until I got my own crib and a trailer, which was wild. Anyway, long story about that. And so, stayed in a trailer home, and then I was doing a podcast from there, and I you know what I'm saying, and the only thing I had in there was my Xbox and my TV and a chair. That's it. And I did have my computer. I did take my computer. But the computer was on the floor. That's how I was starting from nothing again and coming back up. And so yeah, man. And so I was just making sure I was being committed to doing next podcast, and I was doing some other stuff on the side. And then at that point, Z hit me up, and I was always watching BGST, big fan of all of them. I was, I was watching crap and stuff like that. And so then we,
they were the big fish, weren't they, back then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. BGST was the biggest thing around at that time. Like, yeah, you man, like hell yeah. And so, yeah, you couldn't mess with BGST. That was the standard when it came to podcasts at that time. And so, I was doing, Z would hit me up. I would make comments and stuff like that. And he hit me up. He's like, hey man, I hear you on next podcast and stuff like that. And I heard you on B Shadow stuff. I heard you on some other people's stuff. He's like, man, how about you want to come on and do a podcast with me? And I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I remember I was excited as hell because I was telling my girlfriend, which is my wife now, like, yo, Zaire hit me up, bro. Like they talking about, and then I got on there and we started doing the multiplayer, and the most ratchet podcast I've ever been on. But I was having fun. I would come straight from work and go straight there and get busy, right? And then, but I had a blast. What I'm saying? There was some times it got really heated, got really stupid, but I had a blast doing it. And then I decided that I wanted to start doing my own podcast, and I thought I was ready. I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to have the people to do it. But anyway, so once I did a couple of episodes of the multiplayer, then I guess Z, Crap, and Tim and all them, they decided in Showstopper, because Showstopper was kind of in and out at that time. And so Crap hit me up and was like, yo, man, we want you to be a member of BGST. Boy, I couldn't tell you how happy I was. I thought that I made it, right? Like, I'm like, I made it. I'm in. I'm here now. And, it was, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't about views or anything like that with me. It was just like, man, I'm finally getting acknowledged. And, you know what I'm saying, for the work, the stuff that I've been doing. And yeah, it was a blast. And I hate that, you know what I'm saying, Z had to be on that fuck shit, but you know what I'm saying? And so that's why we ain't rocking out now, but you know what I'm saying? And listen, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I ain't nothing going to, everything can be fixed and patched up over time. You know what I'm saying? But the way this shit was on that situation, that's got to be a like one-on-one, hey bro, we gonna have to talk about this, you know what I'm saying, in person. That type, because it got real foul. It got way out of pocket.
I had no idea about that, because like from my point of view, you just kind of just stopped showing up on his channel.
It was stupid. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you continue. It's your story. I'm just saying, like from my point of view, as a viewer.
It got personal. Yeah, it got personal. Like, I mean, they were attacking the members on GRG, the ladies, and I came real. I was real defensive of Delilah and Infamous. Like, you didn't, these weirdos. And then, when I came up there and we was trying to be cool about everything, and then he had a couple of dudes come on there and start talking about they was gonna beat my ass, they was gonna put hands on me. I'm like, yo, yeah, okay, and then, because it was me telling them that I was getting ready to go to E3 and do all this stuff, and I'm like, I was eager. I'm like, yo, because I remember the first day that I stepped on LA, I was dressed and ready to get down. I thought we was about to I thought these dudes was really serious like that. Like, where you at? And no, it was all bullshit as usual, but it just got too personal and over video games. I've never taken no personal shots at people to that degree. Never will. I always will, keep myself at a higher level of that. But it just got so crummy. And so then I decided, I was like, look, man, I'm out. I left the multiplayer. And then so that same night, like it was a situation in the DMs. It was a lot of us in the DMs. It was Tim, it was Porter Rock. It was a bunch of PlayStation, Xbox guys in there in that DM. And Z got real insulting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Calling me a coon, calling me all these type of names and shit like that. And I'm like, really? You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, you know what? And so I told we was in the BGST chat, and I was like, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna disrespect me like that. That's why I said, like, it's gotta be that you don't take it to those levels. I ain't never really brought it out like that before, but that's exactly what happened. And I mean, anything else that's been said or, deemed as a damn lie. You know what I'm saying? This is on everything. So, so that was just a crazy thing. And I hate that because, you know what I'm saying, I respected, you know what I'm saying, because I was always cherish the opportunities that I got, you know what I'm saying, because, BGST was the biggest platform, Next Gen had the biggest platform, you know what I'm saying, he birthed a lot of people. Now, he didn't, like, there's people that made this assumption that he started me. No, it was Kid Smooth and it was Big Kahuna that got me to get on. And We Game here gave me an opportunity. I mean, I didn't do the gaming stuff, but those people need those credits. You know what I'm saying? And so it was B Shadows, Anchorman V, and Xbot. That was the ones that got me to do the content.
This is why I like getting the people's stories, because like you just never know about the other people that are behind the scenes to help you. Because from my point of view, it was always like since I'd known you from watching Next Gen's shows, that's how I know you, because I thought like he gave you your big break,
He did, and that's the thing. I'll never take that away. You can never take that away from that. And
but he's not the only one, though. Yeah.
No, and he's not the only one. But it was the thing of it was the thing of trying to, and I get that, because if people haven't heard of me or watched my content or listened to Next podcast or anything else or whatever, then how would they or listen to me on B Shadows stuff, because I was a member there for a while. And so it's what it is, like, and people can assume to whatever, and since I talk my shit and don't care and don't back down, and I'm very defiant, uh, I got a lot of people that don't like me about that, and that's fine. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, to me, is I'm going to still keep it somewhat respectful, but I'm never going to take it to the levels that it did. And like I said, I'm never going to take away from, the people, the guys from BGST that gave me the opportunity. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You cannot come in here and say, well, you got to this point on your own. It all is about networking. And so therefore, that's, you know what I'm saying, I give the acknowledgement for it. But no, when it got to the crazy shit, and it affected GRG, you know what I'm saying? Because the ladies, they felt they were attacked. And then, you know what I'm saying, and then 108 and, the stuff with 100. And then it just caused a rift, which I felt like that was the part of it. But GRG is still here, and it ain't going nowhere until I say it's going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that has that LLC. You know what I'm saying? So it's my baby.
So that actually leads me to my next question. So starting GRG, how has that been for you since you started it? Like,
man, it's up and down. It's up and down. Like, I mean, when I started GRG, Mooch was getting attacked. This is when things was getting real crazy, right? And people were calling his job, doing all that crazy shit. Like, I mean, I had that type of shit happen to me as well. They was attacking my kids. They were posting my mom's address, and it wasn't her actual address, but an old address, and talking about they were going to get her and stuff like that. So they were doing that same stuff with Mooch, but Mooch's profession was a different type of profession. I'm trucking. You know what I'm saying? My employers didn't give a shit. Like, yeah, well, okay, I'm looking right at him. He's out here doing what? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're following his truck. He's working. What are you talking about? And so anyway, but Mooch's situation was worse, was different in a sense, because he I ain't gonna say his profession, but they were calling his job and saying some real foul shit. And so he bowed out. He said, I got to take a break. So Crossfire went away. And so I asked him, was it okay for me to take that 6 o'clock spot? Because, it's all about respect, you know what I'm saying, on Fridays. And so he said, oh, man, Mega, yeah, go ahead and do that. At that time, we're talking about what, 3-4 known out of the Gaming Space podcasts on Friday nights. So I was like, yeah, and it was perfect for me because Fridays, usually I can get off at the right time, at that time to be ready for a podcast and stuff. And so, but I knew I wanted to make sure that I had women representation because there wasn't enough podcasts out there. It was too much of a sausage party. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's women gamers out
definitely.
There that need to be heard. Yeah. So I'm like, yo, you know what? So it took some, Lady Infamous was always down because of and shout out to 100 as well, because I didn't give 100 his props, and my boy, Infamous, not Infamous, but oh my God, why I can't think of his name right now, because I know his real name because we're Facebook friends. But anyway, he introduced me to 100, and 100. We talked, we chatted it up, and then I became a part of 100's crew. And so I kind of left that out of there. And so I was doing that. And so on top of doing BGST, doing Next, at one time I was doing like 6 podcasts in a week. So, you know what I'm saying? So it was, and on top of that, sometimes doing guest appearances. So I was going crazy at one point in time. And anyway, so I was doing stuff with 100 anyway. 100 wanted me to be down with that. So he had Lady Infamous, part of that crew. And so I was like, yo, I hit up Infamous. Infamous said she was down. She was a little nervous, but I seen content from Delilah HD. And I'm like, this girl's articulate. She knows her shit. Yo, why she ain't on people's podcasts? Why she ain't at least making more videos? And she made this video about Scalebound, which, that still breaks my heart. The Scalebound got canceled. But I've seen the passion, and I seen the passion. I heard it. Then the way that she just articulated herself was just beautiful. I said, I gotta get this girl on. It took some work because she wasn't about it at first. But then, I think because I had Infamous already on the team, and then they kind of introduced themselves, got cool, or they may have already kind of maybe known each other a little bit. It made it easier. And so we did it. And then, so, 100 was down, Livewire, and Livewire kind of would just pop in and out. We had Triple Cup Chuck, you know what I'm saying? You know, and then we had All Day, which was kind of like he was the PlayStation representative, which I loved it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was going back and forth with All Day because I met All Day through B Shadow's podcast. Because B Shadows was turned All Day on, in the sense of, like, you know, he brought him out into the space. And All Day, really witty, cool, you know, cool demeanor. You know what I'm saying? He had that chill West Coast vibe to him and stuff. And so I was like, oh yeah, we ready. So when we started GRD, of course, I'm still trying to figure out how to use OBS and everything else and Hangouts, and I was trash at it, boy. Oh my God. So it took a minute to get. It was rough around the edges when we first started, but man, when we started talking and doing everything, it was perfect. It was great, and I loved it. And you know, when things is popping and going really well, you think it's going to last forever until it doesn't. And then, you know what I'm saying? And so when the ladies left, because of the crazy shit that was happening with them getting harassed and all this other stuff, it became a situation where I had to scramble, right? And so at this point, 108 Dragons came onto the scene. He was doing some stuff for Z, but he wasn't really getting out there. And so I was like, man, come on. And so we was chilling and stuff, and you know, 108 Dragons is rah, but really intelligent on the shit that he knows, right? So we had him All Day introduced me to Fonzarelli. Fonzarelli never had an opportunity, and so I was giving Fonzarelli. He had the radio voice, and so again, you know, it's just Kaleidoscope came through at once. You know, some people left, and because Fonzarelli and All Day went over there to Dealer's podcast, which, you know, couldn't deal with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how could you pass that up? Dealer starting his own shit. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And so we just moved on and got Kaleidoscope, got some other people, and then, you know, 108, and we were still rocking. And then it kind of just progressed and moved on. And then, you know, got these people to, when they started doing their own podcast, one thing that people don't really understand is that there's a lot of work that you got to put into it. So like 108 had to focus more on his stuff, had to get him a crew together, and then it just kind of slowly progressed into being his own thing. Then there was other people that wanted to have him a part of their crew, and all this other stuff. So it just, you know, so it's the up and downs. And then by this time, when you look at it from where I said GRG had only like 4 different podcasts on Friday nights. Now it's like
there's too many podcasts on Fridays.
So it's you know what I'm saying. And at that point in time, like when it first started happening, like you know, you watching other people's views, you're sitting there, you're looking at sub counts, you don't, and it got stressful. Like, yo, what am I doing? Am I doing this for this, or am I doing it for the love? And then it kind of, everything, when it kind of came into its own, and then it kind of felt like, man, you know what I'm saying? GRG might just only be just me and somebody, just one other person. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't done with it, but then it just kind of worked itself out, because I gave up on trying to worry about views and numbers and analytics and trying to find this and trying to find that. On top of me working on top of that, and then working more. So I had to move GRG back. Well, Mooch decided to come back to Crossfire, but Mooch was respectful. Mooch hit me up and said, hey man, is it cool for me to get that 6 o'clock slot back? And I'm like, no, it's all yours, brother. I'll move to 8. And which is cool for me, because my hours was getting later, and there was times that I had to cancel GRG because I was working until 8, you know, 7, almost 8 o'clock at night. So it was way past that. So there was times I had to cancel GRG. So it kind of benefited, but then, you know, it was just respect. So that's just what it was. I always kind of try to be respectful to the people that even if they came up before me, or if they were, if we were cool at one point, whatever, I try to work with anybody and everybody. So, but my whole point about GRG was to look out for the smaller content creator.
That's actually
fish.
That's actually what I was gonna ask you about, because
yeah,
you, like we talked about behind the scenes, you brought me on, and you brought a lot of other smaller people on. So, so was that the motivation for you? Just like looking out for the little guys, just like trying to give them a voice?
Yeah, because I'm still the little guy in a sense. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm over 5,000 subs around, but you know what I'm saying? I'm very thankful for it. But You know what I'm saying? I see when I go and watch other people's channel, because I'll just go sometimes just go on random some stuff, and then go look at random channels, because you hear, the bigger channels, the channels that you already know, it's usually the same shit anyway, right? So I kind of leave that alone. You know what I'm saying? I listen to other people's stuff, and then when I'm seeing like, oh man, they only got 10 people, like they need to have more people. And so I've hit up people before that they thought that I had an agenda, and it wasn't, and so and some people, what I'm saying, didn't respond back, and there was people that did. And so like, with Ham Solo, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this shit is dope. And I'm looking at him and Loke, I'm like, this is some really enjoyable content. I'm like, these brothers need to be on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let me go ahead and hit him up. And Ham was inviting, and we got him on the show, and then now, Ham is a part of GRG, but you know what I'm saying? And now me and Ham do a podcast together called The Crossover, where I'm still trying to get more views on his channel. He's got over 1,000. Most of everybody that's been on GRG, except for maybe 2 people, has gotten over the 1,000 sub marks. That's something that I try to promise that I will work as hard as I can to try to promote their shit, more so than mine. That's my biggest fault, that I don't promote my own channel. I promote these people because I want them to get there. And so I'm happy about that. And so I will continue to do that. So like right now, like we got Prax, we got, we got Darth Praxis, and then we got the Husky Akage, and I want them to get known and recognized, to get to theirs and take off. And then when they're ready to start their own stuff, or if they already got their own stuff, because I was also looking at the Black Viking beforehand, but when we was hitting each other trying to collaborate, that was dealing with my mom's stuff. So that was way more important than anything else. And so I hate that, but now he's blowing up. He's doing real good. So I'm happy for him. And that's another fellow Oklahoman. So shout out to Black Viking. So, and then you look at the next generation, these newer guys. And I look at Dirk Griggity as kind of like being the Iron Lords is the biggest thing now, since like, Dealer's taking a hiatus for a little while. But Dirk Griggity on his own is like, part of that new generation, even though he's been around forever in podcasts and stuff like that to talk and chat. But like, those are the faces. And you see J-Rock, and you see all these Xbox dudes that's popping up and doing their thing. Like I'm so happy for them, because I was one of a few at the time, man. And especially during 2017, man, we was getting our legs kicked in because PlayStation was dog walking Xbox. But it is what it is, man. But I'm so happy and fortunate to have this opportunity to do it, man. I really do feel blessed that I get to meet new people, take the opportunity, because I do this for the love, man. You know what I'm saying? If I never gain another sub, it's cool with me now. Like I said, I'm at peace of just wanting to just help out smaller content creators also, and just enjoy talking about games, and just talking some shit and having some fun doing it.
I respect that. Because a lot of people nowadays kind of just go for the numbers, especially because that's how YouTube has become, about the numbers. Right. But some people just can't do that, and it just kind of becomes draining. It feels like a job after that point.
Yeah, no, and it does, and that's the thing. Like, it around 2020, I was pressing too much. I was pressing because I wanted to prove that I was trying to that I can make this work. I can, regardless of who leaves, who stays, whatever. And it would, and I'm looking at numbers, and I'm seeing other people coming in, and they're getting more views at the time live, and I'm like, what the fuck, and I'm like, what is happening here? But it is what it is. And what I've noticed from when the times that I have views that's up, I have views that's down. The majority of people that watch GRG is usually afterward. And so I can have a what some people would consider a really, really good showing of over 1,000 some subs, if you know what I'm saying. And then I can have an episode where it's only like 400 or 500. And to me, that's still something. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can remember, and I always go back to when I first started doing content. And I can always remember going back and I'm having those 5-10 people in my not podcast, but when I was doing videos, and how fortunate I felt for having that many people. Because when I see other people putting out content and they only get 1 or 2 views and stuff like that, and then I see other people that says, man, I hate that for them. They need to quit. No, they don't. If they doing this for the love, who gives a right? Like that's the thing. And that's why I came to grips of understanding I do this for the love. You know what I'm saying? The numbers will come. I've stopped worrying about it. And, you know what I'm saying, the channel grows slowly, but it grows. It's not something that I pay attention to like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because once you do that, like I said, it changes you and it makes you feel. And I think that's what happened with Dealer. Like he's pressing on top of, you know, taking care of everything else that he's doing. And, you know, it's going to get to a point to where there's other people that comes in that seems new and fresh and fun. And that same thing will happen to their podcast. Their numbers will go down. Everything. I thought BGST would be here forever. There's going to be a generation of gamers that will never know there was a BGST that ever existed. And that was pretty much, and that was the grandfather of all gaming podcasts at one time. That was BGST's numbers was doing better than Unlock's, than IGN's Unlock. Think about it. So it's one of those things like it hits and miss. So it's a good, and on top of that, I love doing the streaming thing now. I want to do more of that. But yeah, it's just all for the love. But I definitely will always look out for the little guy, because I'm still a little guy, and I want people to grow. That I feel that has the passion and the ability to show themselves.
Well, it was very kind-hearted of you, Mega.
Oh, no doubt. That's just me.
Speaking about streaming, so I know you do your Twitch stuff on the side, but I wanted to know what's your future plans though, like if you have any, or is it just to continue doing what you do?
Yeah, no, it's I mean, eventually I'll sit there and I've told people in private. I mean, I'll tell you now. There's a off switch for me. I was never planning on doing this forever. When I was saying like doing the podcast, like I would just change GRG into something else. Because I mean, I got an expiration date. Because I mean, I enjoy getting out, doing things with my wife, and you know, my kids is grown, and we you know, doing stuff, and so like there's an expiration date at some point. It's not no time soon, but it will come. Where I'll be like, you know what, GRG, we hit this number. I'm good. I'm ready to put it away. But streaming, I think that I'll keep doing that for the long haul. I love it. I love doing Fight Night. I want to do more of it. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't have the time. Every time that I would make a commitment, you know what I'm saying, something would happen where I had to, you know, do more stuff for my mom or just for myself if I needed to, you know what I'm saying, because I was not in the best of health you know what I'm saying, for about 2 years after I got hurt on the job, and then I had to go through that with rehab and stuff like that, and then, you know, wife went through cancer situation and beat that. So, you know, and then there's just family stuff as well. So it's just like, so, you know, I always wanted to commit myself to want to do more, but it always seemed like there was something in the way. But now I have this free time, and now it's my new adjustment to try to, because I'm so used to so many years, for the last 5 years, you know, taking my mom's to, you know, going to, you know, the last part was staying with her, but also just like taking her to her appointments or coming to visit, making sure that, you know, wellness checks and stuff like that. And that is over with now. So it's me processing this, like, okay, with that extra free time, what can I do to add to my channel? And so it'll be more streaming. I will still do more my thoughts videos. You know, me and Don, we do the Dev and the Gamer. And it's not like a weekly thing. We do it, you know, sometimes every 2 weeks, sometimes it's once a month, but I will continue to do that. And then I will continue to do the crossover with Ham Solo. But streaming is the future for me. I enjoy it. I thought it was, I was nervous about it at first. I'm like, who the hell is going to watch me play games? But, you know, I'm surprised. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you got to think I'm an older gamer. And so I would think.
Yeah, you're still in that kind of mindset.
Watch gamers.
Yeah, you're still kind of in that mindset. But like, stuff like Twitch has kind of just changed that just overall.
Yeah, it did. And so so that's my thing. And so if I can't, like, because I like to play a lot of fighters, as you know. So YouTube's policies are so weird. So I can't show all the fighters that I have because you'll get flagged. So that's why I have to go to Twitch. I'm going to start doing stuff on TikTok more often. And, you know, I'm looking at Rumble. Or Kick. But you know what I'm saying? But that's the future for me. I'm going to do more streaming. And you know, and just go from that, go that route and see what happens with that. But yeah, GRG will be here for for the foreseeable future for a little bit. But like I said,
there is an expiration date. Yeah,
there's an expiration date. So and then we're just move off from that and just keep it about streaming. That's the plan.
All right. Well, good to know. So, I guess to wrap up the show, I got one more question for you. So, yes, I want to know, like, do you have any favorite moments of just like doing podcasts or doing a YouTube that you have that you just like you look back at fondly?
Oh yeah, tons. Now are you just talking about like
just
podcasts or just hanging?
Anything. Okay, just name anything that comes to mind.
Man. Okay, so there's a lot of moments that I've had fun. That I had a lot of fun. One moment that was really fun to me is when I was doing a stream, and I fell asleep on the stream, and I didn't know it, and so like Yobi and some other people, Yobi recorded it and sent it off, and then I got cooked for it because it was fun, but it was all love though. I thought that was real cool. Like, it's like, it's not, oh, this dude. It's like, we know you human, you know what I'm saying? And these things are gonna happen. And so I thought that was a fun moment for me, just because of just the coolness of how everybody, like, I got blasted, but it was just fun. Like, it was just a fun, like, getting cooked. Like, and I thought that was real cool. But also doing streams with a group of other content creators, like, when we was playing Halo, or when I was playing Division with a group of fellas, or of course Fight Night, when we would have like a whole session of people, like where there would be Core and tons of other people, like, that would come in and join in and play. Like, I like those moments so much, because it also shows that these guys play in the game, they play these games, they enjoy the moments, and we can just be ourselves, and everybody's just having a good time. You know what I'm saying? That's instead of it's everybody's at each other's throat about which console is better, which games is better. It's just us gaming, and it's just kind of that old school vibe of where it's kind of like the old couch co-op or at the arcade, and you're talking shit, and you win or lose, and you get mad, and you get busy, and you might get your ass kicked again, and so they talk more shit. I love that stuff. I love the bonds.
Yo, shout out to Yobi real quick.
Yeah,
he linked me that stream.
Oh,
he fell asleep.
I should have mentioned it. I still, in my mind, thought that I was still that I was playing the fighter. I was gone, bro. Because you see me twitching a little bit. I was still thinking I was that man. I had to lay it down. So, podcast wise, I always enjoyed doing the podcast with Xbot 448. That's my brother, man. He's such a good guy. Really good people. You know what I'm saying? Down to earth. You know what I'm saying? And I always made fun of him about his little young ass sounding voice, and he's over here almost 50. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I love it. And then yeah, just like, like the moments I would just be playing Madden with 100 or with 108 or with Triple Cup Chuck and tax, and just like, yeah, just being a part of the community and gaming with people is good stuff. But podcast wise, my favorite moment, I guess, is when I was the first episode of when I was on the official member of being a part of BGST. That felt really, really good. That felt really, really good. And then my 100th episode of GRG. Those moments mean a lot, because in the 300th episode, those are special moments, because I had no idea that I would be doing this stuff this long and still have an audience that wants to still continue to listen to me. I'm real thankful for that shit. Yeah, I'm real thankful.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that, I'll end the show. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Also, real quick, shout out to Yobi. He said he's saying for you to tell me how much shit be talking. He says that this man used a fighter, and she killed me with a thumb.
He's mad about me playing with that one second character, and her special move is where she thumps him in the head. Yogi was pretty mad about that. That was pretty funny.
Thank you for being on, though, man.
Appreciate it, man. I'm glad I had the time.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and like I said, this is a really big episode for me because you were the one to help me get out into the podcast space. So yeah, always respect you for that, man.
Doing it, brother. Oh man, I'm so happy that you're still doing it. Don't stop. You know what I'm saying, and keep going. I got to get you back on GRG when you got some time, man. And I'm really thankful for you to hit me up, man. I'm glad that I had the time to do it. You know what I'm saying? I've been wanting to do it, of course, but yeah, it's an honor, man. It's an honor.
Yeah,
thank you.
Of course. And just let everyone know where they can find you for anyone that doesn't know already. But
yeah, you can catch me on Twitter at KMEGA4. You can catch me on my YouTube channel, KMEGA405. Also, I'm on Twitch, KMEGA405, and I'm also on TikTok, which is KMEGA405 as well. So, yeah, man, check it out. I'm finna try to pick up. I'm trying to get that Facebook, the Facebook page back up and running. So, just to have people to post content and stuff like that, and things like that. Also, I have a Discord. I really don't ever promote the Discord, but it's GRG. Oh my hell, what is my Discord? Hold on.
You don't even remember your own Discord?
Man, because I don't ever mess with it. Let me see. I don't ever. Okay, yeah, it's a GRG podcast, but it's G.R.G.podcast. So you want to come in there for content creators. You can come in there and post all the stuff. You can promote your stuff. I got extra rooms for people that want to have their game nights, want to come on through there. Also, if you're into music, there's a music session that you can show all the type of music that you like. If you want to speak your mind, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be politics, it could be religion, it could be whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's a speak your mind spot. And yeah, just come on in. You know what I'm saying? It's a free spot for everybody to come on in and have a good time. And like, if there's places that people want to just go into the Discord and want to chat it up, I won't jump in there. I'll let y'all cook. You know what I'm saying? So I got my own private places where I can go have my chat rooms and stuff. So, but yeah, come on through, and man, thank you for the support, man. And again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Also, I took the liberty just right now adding the Discord, your Discord link to the description below, along with all your other socials too. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Once the show uploads, just make sure to check them out. I put the links in the description. So yeah. But thank you everybody for coming in, and I hope you guys enjoyed another episode. But I won't be making an episode next week because I don't have any guests yet. So I'm still in the process of making a new list of guests. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. Shouldn't be too long, hopefully. Yeah. No episode next week, but yeah. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy your day, and peace.